So one day we were just kind of thinking like, okay, there's got to be some like paranormal stuff that happens around this little town that we live in. And so we were just looking online and saw that there was this road called Wagener Road here in town. And the story goes that there was a woman and her husband fighting one day, and he left to go work in the fields just to kind of, blow off steam and, just kind of take a breather from the fight. And he came back to the house, and his wife wasn't there. So about a week later, the police ended up getting involved, and they found her body in a well. And they didn't have any like substantial evidence to prove that the husband had pushed her. So he wasn't charged with murder or anything. So 40 plus odd years later, there was a guy that was driving down that road. It was like an autumn night, and he saw this woman in a white nightgown try to flag him down. And when he pulled up to her, he saw that she was like transparent, and she was floating, what was it, like a foot off of the ground or something. Mm-hmm. And just, he didn't flee right then and there. He asked, what's wrong? And he knew something was wrong for obvious reasons. And she just kept saying, help me, I need help. And he just drove off because he was scared. So that was kind of like how the whole ghost story part of it started. So we thought, well, this road is only how far away is it? Like 10 minutes away?
If that.
Yeah, so we just drove there, and I don't know if it was the story that kind of amped us up, but it was just kind of weird. Like as soon as we got onto the road, we both got pretty anxious, would you say? Or how did you feel when we...
The first time that we went on the road, I kept zoning out, and I kept wanting to just focus on the road ahead of us, and it was just kind of uncomfortable feeling for me.
I felt more anxious, but I don't know if it was really like a paranormal thing that was happening that made me feel that way, or like I said, if it was just the story itself and the thought that, okay, we might see like a ghost lady or something standing on the road or whatever. But I don't know, I just felt kind of weird. But and the guy said that where this place happened was that there's a road that branches off of the Wagener Road called Madden Higgins Road, and that's where it was that he saw her. So we drove down. It's probably like a half a mile or a mile down Wagener Road.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go down that road, about half a mile to a mile, Madden Higgins Road is off to the right, and catty corner across the street is this old abandoned schoolhouse, which had its own little story, that it's haunted or whatever, so it's kind of like a bonus thing that was there. But we'll get to that later. But we start to slow down by that Madden Higgins Road, and she's recording a video as we're driving down the road, and we start to slow down, and I get to where I'm about to stop, and she hears something in her ear. What did it sound like?
Sounded like a lady's voice, and that I didn't really make out what it said, but I definitely heard something. And in the video that we got, you can kind of hear a whisper, and then you hear me start freaking out.
Yeah, I remember you don't see anything, but in the video you kind of hear something faintly, but you heard it like right next to your ear because you had the window down.
Yeah.
So you heard it right next to you. I didn't hear anything, but I remember you were like, dude, what the fuck was that? And did you hear that? And I just remember saying no, but I started driving off because I didn't know if we should like leave or whatever. So I drive up and I pull into somebody's driveway, and it's like 11:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't kind of want to just be creepers, but it's this old, we should probably tell you what the road looks like. It's just an old country road. It's nothing but cornfield and trees and few houses, not very many, and they're very spaced out apart from each other. So, I mean, it's not like people were outside just chatting or whatever, especially at 11:30 at night. What day was it on? Wasn't it on a weekday too? It was like a Thursday night or something like that.
Saturday.
Was it a Saturday?
Yeah, it was a Saturday night, and where we stopped at, the right beside me was a cornfield. There was no houses around or anything like that.
It was literally right before Madden Higgins Road, but it was all cornfield, and there weren't any houses around it. So somebody couldn't just talk like we're talking and you'd be able to hear them. Like, they would have to be yelling. And, I mean, it sounded like a woman's voice, and she heard it right next to her ear, so that we can't really explain that. But in the video, you hear, like, a little faint noise, which is weird because she had her phone that she was recording with, or it was my phone, she had it just kind of right next to where it was supposed to be, but you don't really hear it, but you can hear her say, "Dude, did you fucking hear that?" And then I drove off, but when I pulled back around, we decided maybe we should leave. So we went to go leave, and then we just kind of looked at each other, and she said, "I feel like
we need to go back."
Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, I think so too." So I said, "Let me turn around." So we turned around. We got all the way down to the end of the road before we realized that we needed to go back. So I pulled into somebody else's driveway, pulled around, and turned around at the Madden Higgins Road. I did a U-turn, and I parked in front of that schoolhouse. And I parked, and we started recording with her phone, and we just started asking questions. We did like an EVP session, and we just started asking questions like, I don't know, do you know where you are? What's your name? How old are you? And we didn't see anything. We didn't see any woman in white standing there trying to get our help or anything. So I just kind of looked at her and I said, "Okay, well, I don't hear anything and I don't see anything. Do you want to go?" And so she's like, "Yeah, let's go ahead and go." So I start to drive off, and I feel like I still need to ask questions, but I start to slow down. I said, I'm driving off now. If there's anything that you need to tell us, then you better tell us, because if not, we're going to go home. And then I just start driving normally. And then about 5 seconds later, I slow down and I said, "I'm slowing down now," to kind of give the spirit a last chance way to talk to us. And as I'm saying that, we don't hear it with the naked ear, but we can, we go back home and play all this back, and we hear something that just gave us chills. And I'm more of a skeptical person when it comes to this stuff. So, I mean, I always have some sort of reason for things that happen, and she can vouch for me. I'm always saying, "Oh, that was me coughing," or "that was her breathing," or something like that. So I'm always documenting when I hear things, and it wasn't her because you can hear her tone of voice, and so you can just clearly tell the difference in tones of voice. And it obviously wasn't me because I was talking as it happened. But we have an EVP that we're going to play for you at the end of this video, and we want to get your input on it because we know what it's saying. At least we think we know what it's saying, but we want to hear other people's opinions on it and what they think it's saying, or what they think it is, if it's, not what we think it is. But like I said, there was nobody else around. It was an abandoned schoolhouse, so it's not like anybody could have been there. And it's just, we can't explain it. And it wasn't either of us, so we don't know who it was, what it was, but we're just going to play it for you. And we ended up leaving. Is there anything you want to add?
While I called this EVP, I wanted to mention that my hand was holding the phone and it was out the window.
Yeah.
It wasn't inside the car, it was right at the crack of the window. So it gets even trickier to try to explain exactly what it is.
Right. And it wasn't like an animal or anything, because I mean, I don't know of any animal that could make this noise, and I don't know, like, I just don't know what it could be. I mean, there's no real explanation for it. I'm constantly trying to think of things to disprove something, or, I don't go out of my way or anything, but I try to find explanations for things, and I just can't find an explanation for this one. So that's why we need help figuring out what it could be. We have been there. After we visited this road, she and I both started to become kind of obsessed with it. Like, we wanted to keep going back, and it was hard to stay away from it because we felt like somebody needed help, but we didn't know who it was. We didn't know if this story was legit or not, because she and I both have tried to research any missing persons case back in the 1950s, because that's when the story took place, was back in 1954. And we couldn't find anything. We couldn't find any properties with wells in the back. And the oldest recorded house that I could find was from 1930, but it just didn't seem to fit the story. So I don't know. Not saying that house couldn't have been torn down and a new one put in its place. I don't know. So it's kind of hard to tell, and it's hard to go by just a ghost story, or, by tales that people have told about it. And it's hard to, find out if things are true or not when you're just basing all of your facts and information on a story. So we couldn't find any records or anything, and it's been a pain in the butt trying to learn about this. And we've been back how many times now?
At least 3.
Yeah, at least 3. And it's just, we did get one more EVP, and I can also share that at the end of this video, but it's like the same voice.
And we also got another voice on it as well, and it sounded like a man to both of us. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it and be able to tell us what you think that also says.
Yeah, I just feel like we need to go back, and I feel like we need to help this person that needs it, because we've heard 2 of the same voices different times, and we've heard like a man's voice. And I think we'll do a whole other video on the schoolhouse, because we took pictures of that, and we found some like weird, it looked kind of like a nest in the back. You remember that? Like it's weird. But we'll just do that later. And we don't have any like visual evidence of that road, I don't think. Did you find anything? No. See, so I mean, the guy saw her, and at first I was saying, oh, if I see some lady tonight, I'm gonna flip out, and I'm probably gonna pee my pants and cry. But now I feel like I want to see her because I want to help her. I mean, I'll still be kind of freaked out, but I'll still want to help her, because it's been bugging both of us. We've been obsessed about it, and we just want to know what's going on, and that's really all.
Even if the story that we read on the internet about the road isn't true, there's still somebody out there. And I think with the EVPs that we got, that we really need to go out there and try to get down to the bottom of it and try to help So hopefully within the next couple times we go in there, we'll be able to get some either visual evidence or be able to get a name that we can go off of. So hopefully we'll be able to figure this out, because I feel like we both need to and we both want to. So
Yeah.
hopefully it will happen.
Yeah. I think so. I think it would help us out too, not just to help her, but it would help us because, you know, it's kind of like seeing a wounded puppy on the side of the road and then just passing it and not going back to help it, but it's still in your mind like, I wonder if it's okay. And that's how we feel about this road, that something's there that needs our help and we just keep abandoning it. But we ask it what its name we ask what its name is every time, well, what her name is, because it sounds like a female's voice to me. We keep asking what her name is, but she never answers us, and it seems like only when we go to leave is when she interacts with us, and it's always kind of like a bye, you know, saying goodbye to us, or, well, not in the first one. The first one, I just want to say it, but I want everybody to, you know, kind of tell us what they think. But we'll make another video and get back to what everybody said that it could be. So, is there anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that's
All
about
right.
it.
Bye.
Bye.